everybody for attending today's session, driving value from a single unified message, video and phone platform across the enterprise. My name is Pam Shelton and I'm an enterprise account executive here at RingCentral. Over the past 12 months, it's become clear that hybrid work and the ability to work from anywhere has impacted the work environment and work culture forever. You've all probably heard the phrase, the new normal, but what does it really mean? One of the key things is probably the ability to have flexibility, mobility, and simplified management of work tools within your business. Today, I'm really happy to be joined by Tony Healy, CIO at Mobica. We'll be talking about the challenges Mobica were facing and how they decided to revamp their communications infrastructure to enable the rapid growth they were undergoing. Also, why Tony, who led this project to Mobica, decided that a single platform that could deliver message, video and phone was the right approach and the benefits they've seen both pre-pandemic and during the past 12 months. Could you tell us a bit about Mobica and your role there, please?
Mobica is a global software solutions house. So we go into organisations and help augment existing development teams, or we will go and help design end-to-end software solutions. So we work with a number of blue chip customers such as Intel, ARM, Facebook, Google, BMW, etc. On augmenting their development structure.
Thanks for that, Tony. So as I mentioned in the intro, Mobica were facing challenges with their communications setup. Can I ask you to tell me a bit more about what these were and what prompted you to decide to embark on a digital transformation journey?
Yeah, so when I started at Mobica about 2.5 years ago, we were at a place within the Mobica history where we had grown quite rapidly over the last sort of 10 years. So predominantly our engineering base is in Poland. However, we are headquartered out of the UK and have offices over in the US as well. So as part of what I was brought in to do, which is look at technology across the business, we needed to standardise on off-the-shelf platforms that gave Mobica the ability to grow and flex as the business needed, but also make it a lot simpler for our end users to use the technology. Because with any business who's gone through rapid growth, we had 4 to 5 different meeting tools, we had different PBXs and phone systems in all of our various offices. So there was no real collaboration or standardised platform in place. And that's true across communications, network, server and our desktop infrastructure as well.
Now that makes perfect sense, Tony. I think most people watching today can relate to all of them things. For Mobica, being a global company with over 800 employees, it's quite a project to take on. What was your approach to tackling this and why did you select RingCentral?
So it was a tiered approach really. So with any technology transformation, first of all, we had to get the foundation right. So build on the existing network and infrastructure layers that helped foundate really what we were trying to do as an organisation. Then as part of that, it was collaboration, which is where the communications platform came in. So being a development house, we work on Windows, Mac, Linux, Unix, you name it, our engineers have access to it. So I needed a platform and a tool set that really went across different operating systems, was cloud-based, so we didn't have to spend time installing fat clients on machines so people could access it from the web, and something that gave us a sort of a single touch access to telephony. So we wanted something where we could make our communication with employees a lot simpler. So that's where the VoIP element came in. We wanted a single secure messaging platform, and then we wanted to tie in the video element as well, which post and during pandemic has become even more important.
So you use our full message, video and phone solution, MVP as we call it. I think we've seen over the past year how important it really is to have a variety of communication methods. Let's go into a bit more detail of how Mobica use each of these 3 key communication tools. Firstly, can we start with messaging?
Yeah, so messaging is critical. The power of instant messaging chat is much better than email. If something pops into your head or you need to query something with a team member quickly, instant messaging is the thing to do. It's easy and it's accessible. We can then also combine groups and teams. So not only can we have specific project groups, but we can have departmental or office groups as well. So we get the sort of the all Mobica experience, if you will, but then we can segment that down into individual offices and countries, should we wish. So being able to send messages to one particular group has been key, especially during the pandemic. The ability for it to work on our mobile devices as well, so we can flex between desktop, web and mobile. It's just the ease of access for collaborative instant messaging.
And the collaboration part leads nicely into video, which we've all seen become hugely important in the way we work today. So how is your organisation using video?
So during the pandemic, we've used it probably more than we ever have. So with more people working remote, getting that sense of belonging and looking after employee well-being, we've wanted people to feel even though they're at home, they are still part of a team. So video, face-to-face in meetings, has been critical, just so we can still engage with people, understand body language. Because as good as telephony platforms and instant messaging platforms are, when you're doing group or team meetings, it's still good to have face-to-face contact, and that may not be physical, but at least we can still see in our little squares of video elements what the power of video is. So I know from your body language, if you're having a good day or a bad day, I can make sure you're engaged in the conversation. And again, from a wider team perspective, it helps build that team energy and that team principle of we are collaborative in the way that we work.
And then finally, phone. Everyone uses the phone, and it's still a primary method of communication for the majority of businesses. So for the phone side, what did having a feature-rich cloud phone solution enable you to do that you couldn't do previously?
So it helps us in a number of different ways. So the ability to give everybody in the business a direct dial number. So the ability to set up a IVR system for our reception areas. The ability to have the mobile app, which meant that we didn't have to walk around with two phones. So, people can still have their own personal device, but then we can add the app on, which gives you a corporate number. And, if you're on holiday or it's the weekend, it has office hours associated with that. So you get calls during your office hours, but it goes to your voicemail afterwards. So the ability to have a number that followed you around was a huge benefit to us. Also, the ability to reach out to all our employees via a direct extension number as well was critical.
No, that's really great to hear that the changes you've implemented have improved your customer service using these as well. I guess what I love is there's so much flexibility, control to tailor these things to each specific user case.
There are, and what we've also done with the telephony piece is integrate it into our CRM system. So we do direct dial out of our CRM solution now. And we will be exploring how we can integrate it further into our new digital marketing as well.
Really pleased to hear that as well. So you've given a brief insight into how Mobica has used each of these communication channels, but how did having a single solution deliver all of those benefits to you?
So I don't have to deal with multiple different suppliers. I've got the power of buying at a global basis, which helps me when we come down to negotiate price points. Not having issues with integration of different systems. I mean, we aren't a Microsoft house, so we use Google predominantly as our core system for working with documents, email, etc. So the ability for this to integrate into Google has been key with Google Chrome. And it really gives me the ability just to have one conversation with an account executive who can go and have all the conversations within the business. When I've got an issue or when I'm looking at something strategic, I don't have to be dealing with multiple different people. I just go to one person directly.
So I have to mention the C word, COVID, and the pandemic, because it's had such an impact on everyone globally. So how has the pandemic and the transition to work from anywhere changed the way Mobica operates?
So being predominantly an engineering business, we were set up in such a way where our engineers could work flexibly, they could work remotely on laptops, etc. So moving to remote working involved probably a few hours of extra work for my infrastructure and networks team, because our infrastructure and ecosystem has been built in such a way that you can access our systems from pretty much any device, anytime, anywhere. The issue then came around how we make that more collaborative with the video and the voice and the messaging, which is one of the reasons why it's used now more than ever within the organisation, especially for that video element as well.
And how have the decisions we've talked about to transform your communication stack across the enterprise helped with this transition?
I think it's truly made that ability to work anywhere possible, because we could all do phone calls and emails from wherever we're, coffee shops, McDonald's, Costa Coffee, that type of thing. But now we
Anywhere
have the
with
ability.
Wi-Fi.
Yeah, basically, and that was it. We could go and work anywhere with Wi-Fi. But now what we have is the ability to feel collaborative and as part of that wider team with the video element. So, as we progress through the rest of this year, video collaboration platforms and the ability to change how we work into a much more virtual way, virtual whiteboards, etc., is going to be absolutely key for us. And this is the platform that really stands us in good stead for that. So, rather than being in a boardroom now full of, 15, 20 people trying to do whiteboard sessions, what we can do is do it virtually. So again, we adhere to social distancing and we adhere to the guidelines, but we do have that flexibility now in, what will be the new world. We don't always have to be in an office. We can be virtual and remote, but still part of a more collaborative team.
Tony, can you tell us a bit more about your implementation and deployment experience with RingCentral, coming from on-prem to fully cloud?
So we did a proof of concept with RingCentral and a few other vendors across 20 users, a few in the UK, a few in Poland, and a couple in the US. Really to make sure it was fit for purpose for those individuals and for the wider team should we have rolled it out. Now, once we'd done that proof of concept and we compared it to a couple of other solutions, obviously the decision was to move forward with RingCentral. Now, from a telephony perspective, the rollout was quite simple. We were able to port our existing numbers from UK and other countries into the RingCentral platform, which then give us the ability to set up a digitised and automated IVR system. So you ring into the main head office, you can press 1 for HR, 2 for sales, that type of thing. Or you have the ability to say the name of the person you want to dial, and then the phone system is smart enough to redirect the calls. One of the huge wins for us was the ability to set up geographically specific numbers. So we were able to have north-west based numbers for people who are in head office. We could then have London-based numbers in the UK. For Poland, we could have specific Polish-related DDIs and extension numbers. And again, in the US, Germany, etc. So any country that we've gone into, our users have been given a geographical phone number representative of that country. Again, it just makes them a little bit more comfortable when they're dealing with customers internally and also externally as well, when they ring a number and on the other side it pops up as a US number or a UK number. And the ability to flex that has been really good for us. And the ability to add more numbers has been sort of painless, if you will, with regards to in-country legislation. So overall, the rollout happened quite smoothly from a telephony platform perspective. It then enabled us to remove legacy PBX systems from sites, which generated a cost saving. And I think, to be fair, the cost saving that we saw from the various different meeting platforms, the PBX systems, the fax lines, etc., more than paid for the solution on an annual basis as well.
So Tony, if you were to do your time again and deploy this project from scratch, what lessons did you learn and what would you do differently?
So I think that the key thing for me is around communication and training. So if I had to do this again, I would over communicate to our end users and to our business what we were doing. I would mandate training on the platform. So the platform itself, from a telephony and meetings perspective, is fairly simple to use. However, when users are trying to engage with the platform, I would make more training materials available so they can actually get the full benefit of it rather than just instant messaging, phone and video. And I think that's true of most projects. Training and communication is absolutely key. And create a very solid success criteria. So when the project has been rolled out and completed, measure that success criteria from what was the initial wishes at the beginning to where you are now. And that way you can judge across the business if that project's been a success and then get it signed off. But communication and training are absolutely key. And just because it's got a different name doesn't necessarily mean, we can use it in a specific way or a different way. It's a collaboration and meeting platform. Our rollout was a little bit unique in that we are a Google house, but then we also have Microsoft on top of our Google layer for some of our more corporate users. So getting the interactions right and the training and the messaging around that, I would put a lot of focus on, especially around EAs and PAs as well, who will be booking multiple different meetings for multiple different people.
So one of my favourite parts of the RingCentral platform is our analytics and reporting. I think it's pretty phenomenal. I always struggle to try and sum it up to customers because I think you really have to kind of see it and use it to understand that, the true benefits and its power and what's behind it. But I just wondered if you could give us a few examples of how you benefit from the analytics reporting tool within RingCentral.
So we use it in a couple of different ways. So we use the analytics for our outbound sales team. So we, as part of their training and mentoring, we can look at calls made, how long an average call lasts, who it was to, etc. So we can, people who aren't necessarily getting the right call numbers through, we can sit down, help talk with them about how they can extend those conversations with potential customers, or what they can do to more refine their speech on the phone or their pitch or business case on the phone. Now, we also use it on the meeting side, where we can monitor how many people have joined all hands meetings or team meetings. We can monitor the quality of the call. So if people are having specific issues or problems in the meeting, we can jump onto the analytics portal and actually see if it's internet related, bandwidth related, and try and do some troubleshooting, live for them as well.
Have you spoke to any other businesses or organisations about RingCentral?
Yeah, so I sit on a number of CIO advisory councils and boards, and obviously doing what I do, I'm affiliated with different CIO working bodies. So CIO Water Cooler, which is a very popular business, I know they use it. HMG Strategy, I'm on their advisory board. They've got a big partnership with RingCentral for their meetings as well. And then some of the smaller organisations and colleges as well that I work with on a regular basis. We've recommended the platform to these users as well. Specifically now you've got the free version, which gives you, I think it's up to 100 seats, unlimited meeting minutes, etc. I think that's been a real sort of game changer for smaller organisations who don't necessarily have the budget to go out and invest in an enterprise solution. You do offer a very good free version for smaller organisations as well.
Thanks, everybody. That's all we have time for today. Thank you again, Tony, for all your insights. It was really interesting to hear how you guys are way ahead of the curve and in adopting decisions to deliver a single cloud communications platform that's helped you guys adapt so quickly. Thanks again for everybody who's joined today. We hope that you found it as interesting as we have been presenting to you, especially for our existing RingCentral customers, but for those who may be considering a future with the cloud and RingCentral. Take care, guys, and I hope you have a great day.